Now we're live. All right. Hey there, everyone. Carol Wayne here. I'm the Queen of Reinvention, and you are watching the Reinvention Show. Today I'm with my very dear friend, my mentor, and my coach, even, Sohail Khan. Hey, Sohail.
Hey, Carol, thanks for having me.
So, Sohail is the founder of the Joint Venture Group. Prior to starting the Joint Venture Group, Sohail had over 15 years of sales, joint venture marketing, and business experience. Having previously built a multi-million pound internet training business, which he started with just $1,000 in 2000, he then sold a majority stake to a 150 million IT company in 2006. In 2008, the IT company went bust and Sohail lost everything. And I'm going to stop there because I'm going to ask you to tell the rest of your story.
Sure, definitely, I'd love to. First of all, thank you very much for having me on the show. I've been watching some of your sort of episodes of the show, and I'm very pleased to be here. So, if I sort of start from the beginning and just give you a brief background to myself and where I've come from, and it's going to be a bit of this is a story I normally tell from the stage, so it is going to be quite. I'll try and do a short, condensed version as much as I can as possible, but cover all the really good points. And everyone watching the show right now, what I want to say is, if you're going to take notes, it's definitely a good idea. And just a quick tip: when you're taking notes, don't necessarily take what you see on screen or listen to my words and write them down. Write notes according to what ideas you have and what aha moments that give you and ideas to implement in your own business. So if I begin briefly my background, and this is a great story because it actually it goes purely in parallel with what Carol's teaching about reinventing yourself, and she is the reinvention expert. So my story is very parallel to what Carol does. So it's a pretty cool story. So I originally trained as an accountant many years ago, and one of the reasons why was, I come from a family where I was educated to become either a doctor, an attorney, or a solicitor, lawyer, and or accountant. And for me, for my family, education was important. So I ended up doing a degree in accounts and becoming an accountant. While working in the tax division at this big accountancy firm, I was only there for a few months, but I found myself doing other things which showed my really good skills. One was helping a lot of people in terms of helping them with communication, and number two was also helping them use something called the internet, which was back in sort of 95, 96 in its sort of infancy. And I decided to, from a conversation I had with my supervisor, I decided to leave this job as a tax accountant and pursue a career in information technology. And what I ended up doing was I did a master's in information technology with business, and I wrote a thesis called "The Impact of the Internet on the Manufacturing Industry," because back then, when the internet first started, it was pretty interesting because everyone was talking about this new thing called the internet, how it's going to impact industry. So I wrote this thesis on the impact of the internet on the manufacturing industry, and little known to me, my professor actually posted it online. And Carol, if you know, we've been around for quite a while, especially on the internet. If you know such things as bulletin boards, which were around way before Google, which obviously shows our age a bit, but bulletin boards were the search engines back in those days. So my professor posted my thesis on these bulletin boards, and I started getting a lot of phone calls and emails from venture capital firms, dot coms, corporate companies, and they read my thesis with great interest, and they said, we'd like you to come and talk to us about this thing called the internet and how we can use it basically to monetize our business. So straight off from my masters, I was consulting, sitting on the board of some venture capital firms, some dot com companies, One of my first clients, if you've heard of them, it's a company called QVC, very big in the States and big over here as well. QVC.com was one of my first clients. And what I did was I created a one-page website selling computer training courses via PDF. And we actually created a one page website, and we connected a shopping cart to it just to prove to these clients that, when it comes to e-commerce and internet marketing, we basically we not only talk the talk, but we walk the walk as well. So we had that website set up as a showcase, and interestingly enough, the website started making money from day one. Now, in 1998, Google was launched, and we were on #1 on the page of Google under computer training. So every day we would get orders coming through, emails coming through saying you received an order, you received an order. And that business was actually, well, not even a business, it was a case study that we set up. And basically it was profitable from day one because we were getting orders every day. And this is what we would go and show some of these big clients and say, look, we are not just theory-based consultants. We actually do this for, in real life, and we're actually making money from an internet site that we have. So it was quite phenomenal. Over the space of 2 years, from '98 to 2000, we had a great run. We had a lot of big corporate clients paying us between $20,000 and $40,000 per contract, and it was pretty cool. And then 2000 came, and obviously, do you remember, Cal, what happened in the year 2000?
Oh, Y2K.
Yeah, Y2K and the dot-com bubble burst as well. So for us, it was, it was a turnaround because we not only lost a lot of our clients, because we were internet computer consultants, obviously we were to blame for Y2K. So nobody wanted to sort of employ anyone to do with computers or consultants, because the consultants were the ones to blame for Y2K. So beginning of 2000, we sat down and we had to look at the business. And this is something that Carol teaches a lot of, about reinventing yourself and reinventing your business. Having a look to see what else is out there and how you can utilize something that you have existing and sort of leverage that and reinvent yourself. So it really applies to what Carol teaches. And we had to do that. We had to reinvent ourselves. Okay, so here we were, computer consultants. We couldn't do that anymore, but we had something that was making us money. So we decided to become basically CEOs or directors of our own training company, and it was a training website. So we decided to concentrate on this small training website that we had to grow it. And early 2000, I came across a great book, which you guys definitely want to write this down. It's called How to Get Everything You Can Out of All You've Got, and it's actually written by a mentor of mine. His name is Jay Abraham, one of the biggest marketing sort of geniuses on the planet right now. And in the book, Jay spoke about strategic alliances and joint ventures. And what really caught my imagination was how easy, or how basically anybody can approach other companies to apply their resources and leverage their assets without actually paying any money for marketing, advertising, and promoting, and get them to promote your products and services for virtually nothing. Okay, no upfront investment, and that you'd really be able to tap into a new customer base or even a new market. So mid 2000, I decided to put this into action. And like everything I do in my life and in my business, and Carol knows this, it's all about taking action. I take massive action on all sorts of things that I do. And if you follow me, you probably see me doing some crazy stuff. But I'm always testing, because I have my core business, which makes me money, and then I'm always keen to try new things that's related to what I do. So it's pretty cool to find what works and what doesn't. So I decided to do my first joint venture mid 2000, and I approached the largest IT recruitment agency with a proposal. Now, at that time, the IT industry, there was a downturn in the economy. So, when you look around you right now and people say, oh, the economy is shot and there's no opportunities, there's a downturn, no one's spending money. Look, here's the thing, there's more opportunities right now that in the current economy that we are. Whenever there's a downturn in an economy, did you know that there's more millionaires created in a downturn economy than there is in any other economy? So why is that? That's because they see the opportunities that other people don't. Okay, so it's all about, again, about mindset as well. You have to turn your mindset to think a different way. You have to see the positive from the negative. So I saw a gap in the market, and I saw this opportunity where the IT recruitment agencies were not making any money because there's no jobs out there for IT professionals because of Y2K. So they're suffering right now, and their sales and turnover is going down. They need an additional revenue source, which I could provide via my computer training courses. So I sent them a proposal, and in my proposal I said, if I could create an additional revenue or profit stream for you without increasing your overheads, would you be interested? They said yes. So I got to organize a meeting with them in Regent Street in central London. And it's actually funny because this is God knows how many years ago this was. This was probably about sort of 15 years ago, and I was in London actually not too long ago, and I walked past that same head office where I did my first deal, and it brought back so many memories. So I got invited to a Regent Street, their head office, and there was three or four directors sitting there in front of me, and the first question they asked me was, "Okay, Sohail, how are you going to help us increase our sales and profits without increasing our overheads?" And I said it's pretty simple. It's called a joint venture. Okay, and I said simply, let me ask you a question. How many people do you have in your database? And they said, we have about 100,000 IT professionals on our database. And I said, okay, what are you currently how are you currently promoting to them? And they said, well, every fortnight we send out a newsletter that goes out to them, and in the newsletter we have new jobs that we post. And I said, well, right now you don't really have many jobs to promote. So here's the thing: if you're sending a newsletter out already to the list of 100,000 people, why don't you endorse our computer training courses to your list, and any of those people on the list who purchase those courses will give you a percentage. So very, very basic joint venture. And they agreed, and we set up a promotion by putting our ads in their newsletters, and people would click on them, go back to our website, purchase the courses. We had something called an affiliate program already set up, so they could track the sales and they could track the target, the actual traffic coming through, and they could also track the commissions. And every month, at the end of every month, we would send them a check for the sales that were made, and we give them a percentage. And here's the thing: this was pretty amazing. Remember this, okay? And this is what a very important thing. I mean, right now, where I am currently in my position, I'm very well known in the marketplace, and I'm probably one of the top three joint venture experts in the world. But when I did this, my first joint venture with this corporate company, they didn't know who I was. Okay, so they had no idea. So if people ever say to me, "Yeah, but you can do it because you're Sohail Khan, the JV expert," remember, my first big joint venture I did, they didn't have a clue who I was. So it's something that anyone can do and approach, and the results from that were fantastic. In our first year of building this small computer training website, we did close to sort of $90,000 in sales. Most of that was profit because it was online based. They were PDF courses. In the second year, we did close to 400,000 in turnover, which was phenomenal. So we literally quadrupled our turnover. Forget about doubling your business. We quadrupled the business through one joint venture partnership, which actually cost us nothing up front. Okay, we had to give away a percentage of sales, but at the end of the day, it didn't cost us anything up front, and we made much more money from the sales that generated from that. So that was my first taste of doing joint ventures, and basically after that I was hooked. And fast forward now to 2002. So I'm just going to take you guys through my journey of doing joint ventures and having experience in business. And these are things that you guys can apply as well. So you'll see from this you'll pick up a lot of tips, a lot of strategies that you guys can apply as well. So fast forward to 2002. Now the whole industry changed, and remember we were doing PDF training courses, but our competitors now started doing video-based training. So we wanted to sort of compete with our competitors and get a bigger market share of dealing with bigger companies, especially government contracts. Government contracts were very lucrative, and for us to get government contracts to train people in government, we needed to compete alongside our competitors who had an added advantage, which is video-based training. Now, video is big right now. I mean, we're on a video hangout right now, so it's big, and a lot of people use video for training. But we were doing this sort of 10 odd years ago, but when it was very, very expensive. So I did some research into this thing called e-learning, which is what it was called back in those days. and it cost us $10,000 per hour of e-learning instruction. So to develop an e-learning module would cost us $10,000 just for 1 hour. And our competitors had over 100 titles of training with hundreds of hours of training, and that would have cost us, well over $1 million as an investment. So we didn't have the investment. Okay, this is an important story, and still today, I talk to a lot of clients that I have. I talk to a lot of businesses, and they always say to me, "Well, we can't grow because we don't have the funds." Okay, or we can't do this because we don't have the money, or we can't do this because we're limited in terms of what we can do because of finances. So I'm gonna talk about a case study right now, something that we actually did that proves to you that you don't need to have money in the bank, or you don't need to have money to make money necessarily. This is the beauty of joint ventures. So for us, we needed $1 million, okay, to do research and development, create these new training courses. And yet, like everyone else, we went to the banks and we said, look, we're a profitable business. We've got X amount of money in the bank. We need an investment of X amount to create these new training courses to take our business to the next level. And the banks refused. The banks refused us, and obviously, but I didn't stop there and think, you know what, we can't do this because we don't have the funds. I went back to reading the book, and in the book, Jay Abraham spoke about something called licensing. Now, licensing is very powerful. You can acquire the rights to anything that's proven and tested virtually for a very minimal upfront, and then you own that asset. Okay, it's licensed, you own it, and you can make money from it. So what we did was we went out to look for a company that we could partner with, or we could do a licensing deal with and license their content. So we could take their video content and start selling it as our own branded content, and obviously, compete with our big competitors. So what I did was I looked overseas to the US, and I found a computer training company, actually a multi-million-dollar company in Clearwater in Florida. And I contacted the CEO. The CEO was a very savvy, a female CEO, and we had a conversation on the phone. And she said, "Okay, look, I can provide you what you need. It's going to cost you $100,000 up front for a license, and we can also do the white labeling, but it's going to cost you $100,000." So I was like, "Look, we want to minimize our expenses as much as possible." So I said, "I don't really want to spend $100,000, but I do want to do a deal with you guys." So I literally jumped on a plane, flew to the US. Armed with $10,000 to do a deal. Got to the US, and I still remember that day. I sat in the office of the CEO while she had a meeting, and in her office, I was looking at what she had in her office. And she had a bookcase there, a really smart bookcase. In the bookcase, she had all these books by Dan Kennedy, Joe Vitale, and she had the book from Jay Abraham. So for me, it was like, wow, she's going to understand when I start talking about joint ventures. So when she came in, we sat down, we had a conversation, and we hit it off straight away because we both understood these marketing concepts. And I ended up doing a deal with the company, and I guaranteed her that I'd make her more than $100,000 within the next couple of months. So the way I closed the deal is I gave them a monthly commitment of $10,000. So I said, here's $10,000. That's my commitment to you. If you can supply us with the content, the video content, white label it under our own brand name, that'd be great. So I flew back to the UK and I closed the deal. And now what happened was our business was now competing with the big companies who had invested millions to develop these video-based training. And here's the thing, in that year, our business went from 6 figures to 7 figures. We're now a $1 million company. And what was the investment? $10,000. Right, so that shows you how you can leverage something like that, and it's pretty phenomenal. Where you don't need to have that massive amount of investment up front to be able to do that. So that was pretty phenomenal. Now we were a 7-figure business, and obviously we're always looking at sort of new deals and new partnerships. And the next partnership came for me in 2006 when I was reading a magazine called the Fast Track 100. Now, the Fast Track 100, you've got it in the US as well. It's basically the 100 fastest growing companies in an industry, and our industry was information technology. So in the magazine, there was a company listed at $150 million. It was a $150 million IT group. They had 500,000 customers. Their customers were B2C, business to consumer. We were mostly B2B, business to business. And I did the same thing with them. I contacted them and I said, hey, if I could create an additional revenue and profit stream for you without increasing your overheads, would you be interested? And they said yes. And the whole thing is, guys, getting their attention or getting anyone's attention without giving too much away. Once you got someone's attention, once you're in there and you're either on the phone or you've got a meeting set up, then that's the next stage where you tell them more about how this plan or this joint venture works. So I got invited to their offices, beautiful offices. They had a beautiful glass building. Outside of the car park, they had Mercedes, Jaguars, BMWs. So a very successful company run by a family, the father and son who were chairman and CEO. And I got invited up to their penthouse boardroom, beautiful 360-degree penthouse boardroom. And I sat in there at the end of a boardroom table, and in comes the chairman and the CEO. And I start getting ready for my pitch, and I start delivering my pitch. Now, 10 minutes into my pitch, I get stopped, and the CEO says to me, "Sohail, we're not really interested in doing, a partnership with your company." So I was like, okay, this is interesting. First of all, I thought to myself, what am I doing here? And then I thought, you know what, it's probably time for me to leave. I don't think they like me. So as I was getting ready to leave, the chairman, who was the CEO's father, actually stood up and said, "Sohail, we're not interested in partnering with you. We're actually interested in buying your business." Okay, so this was like a shock because by then I had two more business partners. Obviously, I couldn't make a decision on the day, and my decision would have been totally different. And you learn more in a few minutes about that why. I wish I made a different decision, but yeah. But I went back and spoke to my business partners, and we all agreed not to sell out completely. We agreed to sell a majority stake to the big group, and it was part cash and part equity. So we got part cash payment. We got equity in the group. I was now on the board of a 150 million IT group. I had shares. I sat on the board as well, and it was pretty phenomenal. Seeing at firsthand how this big, massive group operated, and we were now part of their business division. My business was part of the group, and it was interesting because that was 2006. We had all now become multi-millionaires. Life was great. I had everything. I had all the trappings of success. I had, the Georgian mansion I lived in, and normally when I do this presentation, I'll show you a picture of this shiny red Ferrari, which is something that I've always wanted when I was a kid, and it was one of my goals, and I achieved that, and it was pretty phenomenal. Life was great, and nothing could could affect that. And so we thought. 2007. We doubled the business because I stepped down as managing director, and now I started working on the business rather than in the business. You might have heard that marketing phrase. Come 2008, I was getting ready to have my exit strategy. I was going to walk away from the business, cash my shares, go and live on some desert island that hopefully had Wi-Fi, and just put my feet up. Yeah, exactly. I put my feet up, put my sandals on, and then enjoy life. But that wasn't to happen because, Carol, what happened in 2008?
Oh, well, it was quite a bad year for a lot of us, the economy.
We had the dreaded recession, which was amazing. A lot of big companies. We had a company called Woolworths in here in the UK, and they had been around for like 27, 28 years, and they just hit the wall. They went into liquidation, and bang, a lot of these big companies started disappearing. And this big IT group that we were part of, they went bust. Overnight they went bust. We were called into the office the day after. Actually, the day after they made a decision to go into liquidation. We were promised to be made directors of the new business that they would set up. But after that, after you've gone through that sort of experience, you don't want to be working with that same team. So we felt that we had been, wrong. We had been wrong done basically. So the domino effect started after that. We had signed guarantees with the banks as directors of the new division. There was a couple of million dollars of debt that was owed, and guess what? The banks came after us. So when that happened, I ended up liquidating most of my assets. I sold the beautiful house I lived in, sold all my cars, and basically I was basically broke. We did a deal with the bank, and it nearly bankrupted me. I didn't want to go down the bankruptcy route. I ended up in effect totally broke. So I went from being a multi-millionaire to totally broke. and I ended up losing everything. But fortunately for me, I still had my old bedroom at my mum's house. So yes, so I ended up moving back home, and it's when I talk about it now, it's quite funny because when I'm on the stage, I say to people that it was really peculiar moving back home because my bedroom was exactly the way it was when I left many years ago. So my mum obviously knew I was coming back home, so that was quite funny. Yeah.
And turned it into a sewing room or
Yeah,
anything.
exactly. Yeah. So I came back home, but it was a hard time for me. I went through a lot of depression. I was in survival mode. So I really, when I speak at really big events and I see people in the audience, I really feel for people because I've been there myself. I've been in a place where I'm looking for a solution. Okay, I'm looking for a way to get myself out of where I am and get myself out of survival mode. So I decided basically to go on a little spiritual journey. And I thought to myself, you know what? I've done all that. I've been successful. I've run a big business. I've had that multi-millionaire lifestyle. Maybe there's a change now for what I do in my life. Maybe this is a reason for me to be doing something else. So I went on a spiritual journey to see if there's another avenue in my life that I should be pursuing, but it wasn't to be. The first couple of days I was away, I realized something in my gut that once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur, and I'll always have that in my blood. And I came back basically for my next challenge. So I thought to myself, do I want to be one of those guys that they talk about rags to riches and riches to rags and rags to riches again, building something, losing it, then building it again. But I learned a lot from going through that phase. And I still remember that day because my mum, when she sat me down, she said, "Look, here's the thing with you." She goes, "You might not have the Ferraris and the Porsches, you might not have the big, multi-million dollar mansion, but what you do have is here in your head." Okay, she goes, "Your wealth is in your head. Everything that you have that hasn't not been taken away from you, that's material, is in your head. So what you have in your head, you've done it before. My mom said to me, you can do it again." So I sat there and I thought to myself, I'm right now, I'm at the bottom of where I am in my life, and I can't go any lower. So there's only one way for me, and that's to go upwards. So I set myself a challenge in 2009, and like we do, to make $1 million in 12 months. But I identified that I've been very successful with joint ventures, okay, and I've done it before. I built an 8-figure business. I mean, that was the $16 million business that we built. Now, here's the thing, guys. Setting yourself challenges like that is great, but you've got to know what you're going to do to accomplish that. And it's funny because sometimes, when I train and when I coach people, they're like, "Oh, we want to make $1 million in 12 months as well." And I'm like, "Okay, that's fine saying that, but you've got to map it out. You've got to figure out how exactly you're going to do that." Now, for me, I already did that. Okay, so it was slightly easier for me because I knew how much I could make from each joint venture deal roughly. So I just had to calculate how many deals I had to do in the year to make $1 million. So I thought to myself, I'll do 5, maybe 6 deals in the space of 12 months, and I'll make $1 million, and then I'll relax after that. But the thing is, I ended up actually closing a $1.5 million deal in 30 days. So do you want to hear how I did that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is really cool, and when I speak about this joint venture, it's like it's so easy to do and it's so simple, and it's all about just taking action and going out there and doing it. So again, as fate would have it, when you're very entrepreneurial and you have that mindset, you see a lot of opportunities around you, especially when you're dealing with joint ventures. So, and I do it all the time. It drives me crazy when I read something and I see something. I always spot the opportunities in things, but you can't always pursue opportunities. You've got to try and stay focused in terms of what your core is. So, I was reading the Mail on Sunday. It's a newspaper we have here in the UK, and I saw a one-page ad for a book called How to Use Your PC in 2 hours. Now, it wasn't the book that was the most interesting thing. At the bottom of the one-page article, one-page ad, it said over 400,000 copies sold. Now, this got my joint venture mind thinking that okay, they've got 400,000 buyers of this book. Now, remember this, my background was video-based training, okay? That's how I initially made my millions in a video-based training company. So I had the knowledge and expertise of how video training works, and we sold IT, information technology related courses. So I thought to myself, this is a great opportunity. And I contacted them and I said, look, I've got this book. Do you have a video version of the book? They said no, and I said, okay, look, I've got a video version of the book. Would you be interested? And they said, yes, of course we would. We'd be interested to sell it to our existing customers. If you can send it to us, we'll have a look at it and evaluate it. And if it's okay, we'll let you know. So I never actually had the product. Okay, I just pitched it. So remember this. This is a big this is a big lesson to learn when it comes to making a lot of money from joint ventures. You don't necessarily need to have a product. You should actually find a distribution or a database or a place where you can actually sell products into. Okay, so that's one of the secrets of really being successful with joint ventures. So I didn't have the product, but I managed to organize a meeting with the company to go and see them. They're a multi-million dollar direct mail company, and I had a meeting with them, and I sat with the CEO, and the CEO said to me, Sohail, good to see you. By the way, do you have the DVD video, a training course? And I was like, oh, you know what? Well, man, I was in such a rush that I forgot it. I left it in my office at home. I didn't actually have the product. But the CEO looked at me very strangely, like, is this guy for real? And he said, look, here's the thing. We are interested, and if it's the right fit, we would love to use it as an upsell to the existing customers who bought the book. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. So he said, if you can get it to me within the next 5 days, we'll definitely have a look at it, and if there's a deal to be done, we'll do a deal. So I walked away from the meeting thinking, oh, crap, these guys want to do a deal, and I don't even have a product. So, yeah, so
I
it's
love this
crazy.
story.
I know it's crazy. So I went to the local Staples and Office World stores, Office Max, looking for these DVD courses on how to use Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and I contacted those companies and said, look, I need to put together a course on how to use your PC, but it needs to be white labeled, and we need to be flexible on pricing. But they came back to me and said to me that we can do, like, it can be 30% off, and we can't do the white labeling. And I thought, what, this is not really going to work for me. Look, I can sell a couple of thousand units with this client that I have, but if you're not going to work with me on it, then it's no point. So 2 days went, and I wasted a lot of time trying to explain to them how this deal would work. So instead, I went to a website called elance.com, and you may want to write this down. It's elance.com. Great website where you can find a lot of freelance people, and me and Carol use this website and many other websites like that. And you can find a lot of freelance people who can create things for you, and you just put a project up there and they'll create it for you. So I put a project and I said, here's the book. This is the contents of the book. Can someone create a DVD course or a video course along with the following these chapters? So people started bidding on the project, and I ended up paying $500 for this a DVD course, which is actually a Camtasia course. A Camtasia is like a screen sharing software that us marketers use to create training courses. And I took the DVD back to the CEO, and he loved it. He said, wow, this is really good. This is just like the book. And I was like, oh, it's cool, isn't it? My team have been up, like, for a couple of hours doing this, creating this course. And he was like, he was like, oh, I want to create some other titles. What other titles can we create? And I was like, look, slow down. Let's put this one out to your existing customers first. And, if they like it and we do really, really well, then, we'll create some more courses. So I sat with the CEO and I said, look, you know your numbers, you're a direct mail company. Out of the 400,000 customers, how many of them do you think we can upsell to the video version of the book? And he said, well, I reckon at least 50% of them will purchase the upsell within the next sort of 12 to 18 months. So that's 200,000 customers, okay? Put that down in your head, 200,000. And then we started talking about my commission. Now, they are very similar to QVC. They work on a points basis, and they work on a percentage, very minute percentage they give. And I said, look, here's the thing. Let's do this. What do you want to sell the course for? And they said, well, we want to sell it for like, $24, $25. I said, okay, give me $7.50 for each one that you sell, and I'll give you a license to duplicate it. You do the distribution, the packing, you do the fulfillment. I touch nothing, but I'll give you a license and the DVD, and you can do whatever you want with it. So we ended up closing a deal, and I calculated it, and from that deal, okay, 200,000 customers and $7.50 per unit. That's $1.5 million. So I sat there thinking, wow, I can't believe it. I've actually done my $1 million deal here and then. And I started writing out the contract, which is the agreement, and I put in it, I have access to 400,000 customers, right? And when I took it to the CEO to sign, he said, you know what, I'll say, oh, this is really good. If this really works for us, I'd like to roll this out to our whole customer base. Now, his customer base was 4.2 million customers. And I quickly ran to the other side, changed the contract to 4.2 million customers, and I still carry that contract with me today. It's a laminated agreement I have on my wall. I take it wherever I go to show people that this is a deal that I closed, probably one of the biggest deals that I closed, and it was phenomenal. It took us actually 18 months overall to fulfill the deal. We did just over 63 units, and my commission from that was $1.5 million. That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool. We're just
Yeah,
coming up with a concept
yeah, it's
and
pretty cool. So
winging it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that's what it's all about. You've got to take action, and you've got to go out there and just do it. So obviously, I have a bit of knowledge up front how to put these things together, but yeah, pretty much just go out and do it. And it's been a phenomenal ride since then. Since then, I've just done some amazing things. And again, it's about leverage. Carol talks about and teaches reinvention. I talk a lot about leverage and about joint ventures, and these things go hand in hand. So yeah, it's been pretty phenomenal.
So let's talk about the power of the platform.
Yes.
It wasn't a very smooth segue, but let's switch from your story to the power of the platform, because this is
Sure.
something that we both
Yes.
about.
And this is why I'm here. My platform is what has brought me here today as one of the world's top joint venture experts. And you've got to have a platform in place if you want to command the sort of fees that you want to. And I'll give you a classic example. I just got back from New York literally about a week and a half ago, where someone found me on LinkedIn, okay, and they paid me $30,000 for 1 day of consulting, flew me to New York, put me up in the Mandarin Oriental, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And I've only ever done two of these 1 day consulting over the last 3 years, but it wasn't anywhere near this. It was about $10,000, but $30,000 for a day, that's pretty phenomenal. And this is all due to the platform. Within the space of 2.5 3 years, I've risen to the top in terms of what I do in my field, compared to others that have been in the marketplace for God knows like 20, 30, 40 years. And this is a lot to do with a platform. You've got to have a platform, and this is what distinguishes us from other people. This is why people seek us out. And with a platform, you don't have to go out there as much as you would do with a normal business. People will come and seek you because you built this platform that allows other people to come and find you. And when they do that, man, you can command whatever you want. It's pretty phenomenal.
Hmm. And a great way to start your platform is by writing a book. And I know that you've got
Definitely.
a book that's coming out soon.
Yes, I have. Like yourself, I've got a guerrilla marketing book called Guerrilla Marketing and Joint Ventures, and it's due for launch in the next couple of months. And the crazy thing is, so many crazy things happen in my life, right? That I always want to be adding them to the book. But what I've decided to do is to finish the book off now and leave that for a second book that I'm working on, that will showcase a lot of the really cool things that I'm doing that any individual can apply to really sort of go out there and build their network and their platforms. That's pretty cool.
Well, that's cool. Now, I had no idea where this interview was going to go when we got on, so, but I'm just going to run with it. Now, after someone's got their platform, I talk about positioning. So how
Yes.
did you position yourself?
Okay, this is very important. One of my mentors said to me many years ago that Sohail, just focus on one area and become a master at that, okay, and dominate that area. So positioning is so important, one of the most important things that you can ever do. And it's funny because people always say to me that Sohail, you're great at self promotion, right? I've never seen anyone in my life that as good as you in promoting themselves. But hey, what do? At the end of the day, you have to promote yourself, okay? And it's very important to always keep in touch with your network, especially when it comes to positioning. Like everything that I do has the word joint venture in it. Everything I put out has my tagline, the joint venture expert. Um, Go to Google, type in joint venture expert, type in JV, type in JV expert. I'll be number one on the searches in Google. So it's all about positioning, okay, and positioning yourself in the marketplace in preferably in a good niche, okay, where you can command high fees. There's no point in just being a normal coach or consultant. It's no point in just going out there and doing what everyone else does. You've got to look at your core skills, or even look at an area that relates to what you already do or what your background is that you can work on to become an expert in. So yeah, positioning is very important, and I'm always positioning myself. And I'll tell you how cool positioning has been for me. When someone like me from the UK gets invited to the US to speak about joint ventures, that's pretty phenomenal because a lot of the experts that we follow are all US based. So
Right.
it's pretty phenomenal when someone from the UK is going, from a tiny country, a tiny island basically, flying to the US. And I've spoken in the Middle East as well and in Europe, and that's because of my positioning. I position myself as, the joint venture expert. And positioning is very important. You've got to have that alongside the platform. You've got to have your positioning as well.
So someone who's watching this that's reinventing their small business or reinventing themselves from being an employee to being a solopreneur or an
Correct.
entrepreneur,
Yeah.
how would you recommend that they use joint ventures?
I think in terms of joint ventures, lots to do with collaboration. Now, one of the reasons why I excelled very quickly and I became very well known is from the early stage, I partnered with people in the industry who were the what we call the key influencers. Now, if you want to dominate an industry and a niche, or you want to position yourself, then you need to surround yourself, or you need to be in touch with the key influencers in your industry. And what I did was basically I teamed up with two or three other people that were well known in the joint venture industry, and eventually we ended up all creating a program together, which is actually quite a phenomenal program. It was one of my first program online. It was a $5,000 program, and we sold like 25 seats, and it was just three of us doing it. It was pretty phenomenal. So I think find the key influences in your industry, follow them, adopt their principles and their strategies, and try and get their attention so you can actually either interview them, collaborate with them, and then once that happens, you become really well known and your positioning sticks. And then eventually, what happens is, if you pursue working with them, you'll eventually end up on the same platform as them, and your platform will be built from that. It's pretty phenomenal.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, yeah, and it's pretty phenomenal. I mean, if you surround yourself with these people, that's how you position yourself because people see you in the same light and expertise as all these big experts and these big names, and many people, including myself, have used that strategy to position ourselves where we are today. I mean, I got back from Chicago a couple of months ago, speaking on stage with Brendan Burchard. Now, how phenomenal is that? It's pretty phenomenal, and it's like, and I actually I message him now and again, and we have conversations. And I would never be able to talk to this guy who's so in demand if it wasn't for the fact that his publishers are my publishers, who I met at an event, who I was introduced to someone, and we got into the same circle. So it's pretty phenomenal how your network works.
Yeah, so you use your network.
Mm.
Some, sorry, there's water being flushed somewhere in my background here. So
That's okay.
the joys
We
of
want to we
working.
want to keep we want to keep this as authentic as possible, sir.
Exactly. Yes, you
Yeah.
can work from home and you can make millions of dollars.
It's
Actually,
it's crazy because you know what, with the technology that we have today, and I was, one of the things that I'm getting back into doing is creating more online training and online coaching programs because I do a lot and it takes up a lot of time. The speaking I've been doing over the last 3 years, but I want to now start creating a community like you're doing, Carol, and have this community where it allows me to work from wherever I need to, even work from home. So it's pretty phenomenal, the way technology has come. And look at us now. We're on this, Google Hangout, which is really, really cool. Used to using webinars. Now we've got this technology, and it's pretty phenomenal. So, yeah.
Yeah, it is. And when I started back in business in 1996, um, I was one of the founding members of the Home-Based Business Association in our community, because
Cool.
back then it was taboo. Like, you didn't want to tell anyone you worked from home,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So I was working from home and I was building this like large company. Like, I built it
Yeah.
to the point where I couldn't even get home insurance because revenue was
Wow.
so high. So, and
Crazy.
that was the only reason I moved out into a real office. And then when my business went down in 2008 and I moved back home, I was so relieved that there was no stigma about working at home anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. I mean, the things that you can do working from home is pretty phenomenal, and it's incredible. The and this is the thing: when you reinvent yourself, when you have a platform that allows you to do that, okay, and when you have the positioning, it's you attract people to come sign up to your program, sign up to your coaching, with the power of having a book that brings in more of the sort of market or the target market that you want to work with. Now, with me, it's like nowadays I have a choice. I can do what everyone else is doing and be in the same waters and just be drowning, or I can say, you know what, I'll just throw, a life raft out which is comfortable. I can sit on, and I'll be relaxing on top of the water. So it allows you to determine also who you want to work with, what you want to charge, and it's pretty phenomenal. And you end up actually working less and making more. So it's powerful stuff.
Yeah, and video too. I had this conversation with other people, and it's
Powerful.
almost as good as being in person.
Yeah, definitely, and it's video is something that I use a lot of when I launch a program. For example, I use a lot of video, and it's a good connector, and it's a good positioning tool as well. Because when you watch someone in a video, okay, and it's a good clean video, and they're really smart, and it's a professional made video, you automatically see them as this expert. Because we know we're used to watching people on TV, especially in newsrooms and stuff like that. So it's a pretty cool tool. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what are your top 5 tips for reinvention? Oh,
I
your
would
video,
say my probably top. Sorry.
sorry, your audio cut out there,
Oh,
Sohail.
okay. Am I back? Okay. I think my top 5 tips for reinvention is number one, first, look inside yourself in terms of what you already have. Um, Look at what can be leveraged. Look at what you've done in your life as well. See, the crazy thing, right, that I hear from people all the time is they always talk about the bad things in their lives. They always talk about the negative things. Look at the positive things that you've done in your life, whether it's in your business life or your working life, and look at the good things that have happened in your life and jot them down. And from that, you'll be able to create a story. And positioning, platform, reinvention, it's also all about your core story, okay, where you come from, what you can communicate to other people, which is very important. Another tip that I would highly suggest when you're looking at sort of reinventing yourself is doing a bit of research and having a look and seeing out there what are the core markets. What are the markets that you'd like to go into, for example, and again, who are the key influences in that market? Who is driving that market, and where are people going towards? And that is where you need to position yourself. You need to position yourself similar to those people and either collaborate with them, partner with them, or create something with them that will allow you to use the platform that you have and position yourself really, really quickly. Another tip I'd probably say for reinvention is, just go out and do it. It's very, very important to go out and actually just go out and take massive action. You've heard my story of how we reinvented ourselves and how I reinvented myself. Even let me tell you one thing that's very important, and this is really cool. If tomorrow I wanted to leave this industry as a joint venture expert and become something else and reinvent myself, I could do it very, very quickly through the power of collaboration and joint ventures. All I need to do is find someone in another market who's very successful, very well known, approach them, probably interview them, partner with them, create a product with them, and bang, I'm now reinvented myself as an expert in the same field. So I think those are the sort of tips that I would give to anyone who's looking to reinvent themselves very, very quickly.
Those are awesome. And some of those I haven't even heard before, Sohail. So there you go.
Cool. Yeah, so if we, I mean, reinvention is really cool, man, because the way the economy is, and the way the way things are, the way business is done, and also around the world. If you need to leave one country and go to another country, you may need to reinvent yourself totally, because what happens in one country and how businesses run may be different in another country. So you'd always have a core foundation, and Carol talks about the platform. But then you've got to look at other things that you can leverage to be able to reinvent yourself. So reinvention is big. I mean, it's absolutely huge. And right now, we don't really have anyone in the marketplace that's a real expert apart from Carol, who can do that for you. So pretty cool.
Thanks for giving that plug there, buddy.
Cool.
So what's next for you?
I am working on this new online training platform that we're building, and it's pretty cool. We've got a couple of clients signed up already, and again, it's all about high ticket for me as well. We've got clients who are paying between $5,000 and $10,000 for us to video them, create their whole course content, and actually create their training portals online. So, but we're working specifically with professionals. We want to work with people like yourselves, like coaches, consultants, speakers, authors, especially authors. People who need a back end to create their own programs. We're actually talking to quite a few people right now, and we're getting some really good people coming on board. So that's pretty much it on that front, and that's probably the biggest project that I'm working on right now. And then obviously there's more of the corporate consulting. Once my book is launched in the next couple of months, I really want to concentrate more on getting more of those $30,000 gigs. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Sure.
That's great. Now, how can people reach you?
They can reach me very easily. I live on Facebook. So,
I know.
yeah. So facebook.com/the JV guy, or you can find me on LinkedIn. To type in Sohail Khan into Google, type in LinkedIn, and you'll see my profile on LinkedIn. So those are really the two places. Otherwise, apart from that, you can email me on the jvexpert@gmail.com. And if you want to get on a strategy session and talk to me more about your business and about joint ventures, add me on Skype. It's pretty simple, easy to remember my Skype ID, and it's $1 million JV. So there you go.
Cool. Well, I'm sure you can help tons of people. I loved learning from you. Here's my certificate that you gave me.
Yeah, cool. I can see it. I can see it on the wall. So no, I'm very impressed with what you've achieved, Carolyn. You are a prime example of reinvention. So if you want to learn from someone, and I'll be honest with you, if you want to learn from someone, make sure you learn from people who've actually been there and done it, and actually gone through the trenches themselves. And those are the people you want to work with, because it's the spirit that we have is pretty phenomenal, because we've gone through so much. So we're not just a bunch of people who read books and then try and implement it and teach other people. We've been through the trenches, and it's very, very important that you learn from people like us. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've got the war wounds.
We have, yeah, trust me.
Well, it's been an absolute delight, Sohail. Thank you so much for.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you for having me.
Sharing with the viewers, and we'll get the show. I'll get. What am I trying to say? I'll let you know when the show is going to be aired.
Great.
And then you can share it with all your friends too. So.
No, it'd be great. I'd love to do that. Brilliant. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much, and until next time, talk to you later. If you'd like Carol to help you with your reinvention, reach out to her by going to her website and completing the Contact Us form, or send her an email at carol@carolwayne.com. She's also available on Skype at IDICarol, and on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, all Carol Wayne. Hey there, the 30-day challenge and the 90-day fast track programs are coming soon. Please go to carolwayne.com for details. Now we're live. All right.